Ladies and gentlemen, we do thank you very much for your attention, and now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the
Welcome to the Top Travel Destinations. I'm your host, Kevin Flanagan, here to use my 20 years of experience as a top travel writer with the Sunday Independent to show you where to stay, eat, shop and explore when you visit the world's top travel destinations. So sit back and enjoy our journey together. Welcome to a very special edition of the Top Travel Destinations. I'm here with my friend, colleague, and longtime ski instructor, Aileen Egington, who's probably the most knowledgeable person I know about Christmas markets and the Christmas winter scene in Europe. You're really welcome to the show, Aileen.
What an introduction.
This week, we're going to talk about Christmas markets. And I have to say, I got my introduction to both skiing and Christmas markets from Aileen when she took us around Europe multiple times. And there's some very dear memories. Why do you think people should visit Christmas markets from your own experience?
I think it's this whole thing, if we go back to nature, and it's the darkest time of the year, it's that idea that we're preparing for the winter solstice. And I think that the whole meaning of Advent and the Christmas markets is something that's really, really special. So even if you're not a religious person, if you take it back to the winter solstice and even the fact that Germany was the country that came up with the idea of the Christmas tree. So when you look at all those ideas and bringing them all together, Middle Europe in particular has this wonderful way of celebrating, as I said, that darkest time of the year. And I think it's a sign of celebration, it's a sign of things to come, and it's a sign of what's lovely about Christmas markets is that it's not just about tourists. I think we're there nearly as just secret guests. It's about locals coming out. It's about wrapping up warm. It's about the smells and the tastes of winter. It's about the mulled wine and mulled beer and, you know, all those wonderful smells of gingerbread and cinnamon and...
You've got me salivating. And I can remember, I can't quite remember the destination, but you took us, it was in Austria, and it was minus 10 degrees.
Yeah.
And we wrapped up well,
Yeah.
a whole group of journalists.
Yeah.
And you took us to this fantastic Christmas market. And there we wrapped our hands. I can remember two things, and the smells and the taste. Chestnuts being roasted, and then holding the mulled glühwein. Just to keep warm.
It's so special.
It is so special.
And, you know, if you're lucky, sometimes it might even snow or it might have snowed, but it's just something we haven't got our heads around in Ireland yet. And of course, we've got rain, but it's just something that's magical. And one thing that always stuck in my mind, I have a very good pal who I met through the blind ski trips. And his name is Donald Fitzpatrick. He's a lecturer over in DCU and he is blind. And I remember saying to him, you know, where's your favourite place to go? And he said, Vienna. And I'm looking at him saying, why? And he said, it's the smells. It's the whole opulence of, say, going to a Christmas market in Vienna. It's an opulent smell. It's a luxurious smell.
Yes.
You know, so obviously there's not so much cigar smoke or anything anymore, but it is that the spices.
And it's rich and it's multi-layered.
Yes.
And as well, you've got the crunch of the snow.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to encounter snow.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing for Christmas markets with me. And you get that lovely balance of lovely foods, lovely drinks. You know, you get to buy Christmas. I love Christmas decorations. And that's another thing about the Christmas markets. And I know you said about the memories. You know, when you start to go to Christmas markets, you might just buy one decoration, but there's something special then about the next year when you unwrap your Christmas decorations. Oh, and just say, oh, remember that time I was in Nuremberg, or remember that time I was in wherever. Yeah. It's about memories. And I think that's really important that we preserve those things.
Okay, well, Aileen, that is so wonderful. And we're going to hopefully give the listeners some memories now, because we're going to deep dive on 3 special places that Aileen has picked for you, dear listener. And we're going to give you a little overview of it, where to stay, eat, drink and shop. So you have an idea if you do decide to go off this season or next season for a Christmas market, because these podcasts are evergreen, that you will have somewhere to go. So where is your first choice, Aileen?
My first choice is Vienna. I think Vienna is the centre of Europe. It was the centre of the Habsburg Empire. It is a wonderful, magical place. And I think of all of the cities in Europe, Vienna is the most memorable because of the amount of things you can do in Vienna. You've got the opera, you can go to a Mozart concert, you can go to see the Vienna Boys Choir, you can go shopping. And this is a really important thing for me in Christmas markets. It's lovely to pick a city that you can go to that has different shops than we have. We're very dominated by the UK and American brands. Walk down Grafton Street or go into the Dundrum Town Centre. We're very dominated by that, but it's lovely to go to a city where the brands are all different, where the shops are all different. And I would always pick a Christmas market in a city that has that choice of shopping.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit. I have visited Vienna. I did a big article for the Herald on it, and it has been voted, I know, the most livable city in the world.
Yeah, extraordinary.
It is. And there is something very welcoming. Where is the Christmas market, and can you paint a picture for our listeners?
Well, the great thing about Vienna is they've loads of Christmas markets, and that's what's really, really special. You can go, they opened last Thursday, which is the middle of November, and they run right through until Christmas Eve. And there's one or two of the markets that actually carry through. I've seen a new trend now where some of the Christmas markets are keeping going until the 6th of January, which I think is a great idea, because for people who are taking New Year breaks as well as pre-Christmas breaks. My favourite one is the one outside the Rathaus, which is the town hall. And it's just magical. And the very first time I went there, it started to snow. And I think that's why it has a fond memory for me. But the great thing about Vienna and about Austria in particular, they have very high standards which are determined by the councils in terms of how the Christmas markets operate. So they've very strict controls in terms of who gets in, what kind of produce they're doing. And so they're checking, was it made in China or was it made in Austria or Germany or whatever? I think that's really important there. You don't have to pay in, which I think one or two Irish markets tried to do, which didn't really work. So you can go with a confidence that the products are good and that the food and drink is good. And it's reasonably priced.
Let's say we were having an evening tour of the Rathaus.
Yeah.
And all the details will be on the accompanying article on the website. So you'll be able to get clickable links and the addresses of, we're going to look at where to stay, eat, drink, and all of Aileen's suggestions will be highlighted in the article. Give us a sense of what would you do in our 1 hour, 2 hour walk around the market?
Well, I think one of the first things you do is have a quick walk around just to get the feel of the place. If you like wine, you can treat yourself to a nice glühwein. And glüh means warm. So glühwein is a warm wine. It tends to be a red wine, but I notice more and more that they're doing a hot white wine. Or you can get a nice beer. And one of the great things about the Christmas markets is if you spend, I think it's probably maybe €10, you can actually get a lovely mug which has the Christmas market and the year on it. So you have a little souvenir to bring home with you as well, which is kind of nice. Yeah. So it's a mug for home. And you can just get it refilled then at a cheaper price. So that's one of the tricks that I would recommend to people as well. And then you can walk around and they just have lots of different produce. Obviously, sausage is a big thing. So you'll get Frankfurters, but you'll get all the different sausages that are really, really nice. And you can just try them or try them with a friend as well if you're not sure whether you like them or not. And they've lots of roasted chestnuts you mentioned earlier on. It's just lovely. And also all the roasted almonds. They do the toffee almonds that are hot and you get them in a little cone. Am I making you hungry now?
Yes, absolutely.
Alison, our producer, is actually nodding here as well. But I think that's the thing about the Christmas markets is just to enjoy the tastes and the smells.
Yes, and it's a family-friendly event as well, which is important.
It is, because you see whole families going and you see just people gathering and you see friends gathering. And I think that's why it's so nice.
And another element is the music.
Yeah.
So you'd have choirs, you'd have the trombonists, and something that's unique to Vienna as well, which gives it that flavour.
Yeah, and I know, for instance, that we're talking about Vienna and other cities at the moment, but I have a lovely memory. There's a wonderful Christmas market that happens in a place called St. Wolfgang, which is just near Salzburg. And they have an angel that comes out and she appears on the balcony. It's magical. And also in Budapest, in the middle of the main square where the Christmas markets are, St. Nicholas comes out on the balcony every day.
Wow.
And he comes in a carriage and he appears on the balcony. So there's wonderful things at these Christmas markets. And for instance, in the Christmas markets in Innsbruck, they hang out these fairy tale figures from Hans Christian Andersen and the Grimm's fairy tales. And they all hang down from all the tall buildings in Innsbruck for the Christmas markets. So I think when people go, they should go to all these wonderful places with an open mind.
Yes.
And just enjoy the tradition.
Yes.
Because Central Europe has such a wonderful tradition.
How long does it go back, Aileen?
It goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. Right. And I think it's this idea of celebrating the winter solstice. Yeah. And it probably goes back, say some of the Hanseatic cities where it's all the trading, and even cities that are so big like Frankfurt and Berlin. The core of all those cities is beautiful because it's the old part of the cities. So anywhere you go in those Germanic type cities, it's just magical.
Yes.
And I think the great thing about Vienna is that there's so much else to do. Yes. I mentioned the shopping, and I think that's wonderful. It's not the shopping street with the Prada and the Gucci and whatever. It's the normal streets that people go, the lovely big department stores that you can go in and get different ranges and things like that. Also, another tip is these people are used to dressing for the cold. So if you want a really good winter jacket or a ski jacket or really good boots, that's where you get them.
Yes. And not for over fancy prices.
Exactly. So I think they're the things. They know how to dress for winter. You look around at what they're wearing. And for God's sake, if girls are listening, don't wear the high heels. Ditch the high heels. I say this for ski as well, but ditch the high heels. Be comfortable at your Christmas market. Nice pair of warm boots that give you a bit of a platform or whatever, that are nice and comfy, preferably with wedges, because a lot of them will be in cobbled areas.
Yes. That's absolutely fantastic inside information.
Yeah.
In Vienna, give us a couple of places you'd recommend we could stay once we've arrived, because it's a city that you fly into for the most part. Where would you stay?
I think if you're going in terms of treating yourself and you have a few bob to spend, and let's face it, it's the first full year we're all able to travel since 2019, I would stay in either the Sacher Hotel or the Imperial Hotel.
And we will put up details of both of these in the article.
Yeah.
The Sacher or the Imperial.
And the reason they're special is people will have heard of Sacher torte.
Yes.
And Sacher torte's very important for a number of reasons. It's actually one of the cakes that a pâtissier has to do perfectly before they qualify as a pâtissier. And that's why the whole thing about Sacher torte and the chocolate icing that's on top of it, it's so important. So the Sacher Hotel is amazing. And even if you don't stay there, you should go to the Sacher Hotel and sit down and treat yourself and have a lovely coffee or hot chocolate and a slice of Sacher torte.
Wow.
It's one of the things I'd recommend for whatever. I would always have a tip of where to stay. I always find that Best Western hotels, there's always a good Best Western in town. I know you can Google booking.com, or you can go to any of the tour operators and travel agents that know about city breaks. There's plenty of them around who have good brochures on city breaks. But I think Best Western is a good guide. But as I said, if you want to treat yourself, you should go to the Sacher or the Imperial.
Yes.
Check out the deals. And one of the things that's key as well is if you go midweek, you're more likely to get a good deal. If you're able to go maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday instead of Friday to Sunday, if you have a bit of time left on leave, play around with your flights and play around with your hotels to get a good deal.
That's excellent. Whenever I've been away with Aileen, you've always taken us to amazing restaurants. A couple that you could recommend. I know you can eat very well at the Christmas market, but if you're staying there for maybe 2 nights, where would you recommend to go and taste some traditional Austrian food? I
actually think that you should go to one of the big beer halls. And I'll be saying this about other Christmas markets as well, because you can go into the beer halls, because there's so many of the different ones. I think that's a great place to get good food.
And it's a generic. You just ask for the local beer hall in your
you'll
hotel.
See them. And one of the things that's amazing about Vienna is you'll see a restaurant or you'll see one of the brewery places around Vienna, and you think it's small when you go in, and then you find it's cavernous inside because it's about keeping warm. So you find that there's a huge inside and downstairs and whatever. So that's one of the things for me is just enjoy. And Wiener Schnitzel, I have to say, it's obviously schnitzel. You can either have a pork or veal, but that is one of the traditional foods of Vienna.
Yes, and dessert?
Well, Sackertort obviously is one anyway, but one of the traditional Austrian desserts is Kaiserschmarrn. And that's basically the sweetness for the Kaiser. The Kaiser asked for a special dessert to be made. And his chef came up with this thing and he called it kind of tongue-in-cheek Kaiserschmarrn. So basically being smarmy, I think, to the Kaiser. But it's basically a cut up pancake and it has lovely sauces that it's served with it. And you've had Kaiserschmarrn at various things. I think there's lovely things, but you can't beat Vienna. And go to a Vienna coffee house.
Yes, I can.
You know, the Sacher Hotel is wonderful one day, but go to a coffee house.
They're
Vienna
amazing.
knows how to do coffee houses.
That brings us on to our second. Now, my appetite is whetted. Your second selection.
Well, just before we leave Vienna, one thing I would recommend, which is a secret thing, there's lots of things to do, but you were talking about secret things.
Yes, our hidden gem.
Cece's apartments, Princess Cece's apartments, they're just a special place to go to. You can obviously go to the palaces and you can go to various things, but Cece's apartments are wonderful. That's just one for Vienna. So, Munich.
Munich is number 2.
Munich is number 2. The
And
reason I picked Munich when you asked me about city breaks is, again, Munich is great for shopping. But what I really like about Munich for Irish people is that we've up to 4 flights per day to Munich itself.
We have a lot of followers that are not just coming from Ireland as well.
Oh, okay, that's important as well. But Munich Airport is one of the best organised airports, to my mind, in Europe. It is hugely efficient. It is absolutely brilliant. Not only that, but if you end up getting back early to Munich Airport, it's got its own Christmas market.
Yeah, visit it with you.
This is amazing.
Yes.
And it actually has its own ice skating rink and there's a brewery beside it. And you've also got a great supermarket beside it where you can buy all your chocolates to bring back. So I like Munich for all those reasons. But one of the things for me about Munich is that if men are listening today, Munich is one of the best places ever that you can go to. That's brilliant for men. It's got the biggest men's shop in the world, which is in the middle of the pedestrian centre in Munich. And it's called Hermer. And you've also got all of the lovely beer houses and breweries in Munich. And again, they're great for somewhere to eat. And you've got some great hotels. And, you know, it's easy to get to Munich because you hop on the train, you come out of Munich Airport, hop on the train, the S-Bahn it's called, and within 40 minutes, you're straight bang into the centre of Munich.
Anywhere you'd recommend to stay if you're there for a couple of nights?
There's a particular hotel that I like, which is very close to the train station called the Maritime. That's Maratim. But there's another lovely hotel that's right beside the train station as well called the Dorrant Sofitel. And it's a beautiful hotel. If you are going to stay in luxury, the nicest hotel in Munich is called the Bayerischer as in Bayern. It's a beautiful hotel and it's got a spa area right up on the roof. And when you go up on top of the roof, you can actually see the Alps.
Wow.
Because it's only an hour and a half from the Austrian border. So it's Bayerischer. You can go into the Bayerischer for a drink, for a meal, for anything. And it's such an opulent, old, traditional hotel. Fabulous.
Wow. Where is the best Christmas? There are multiple Christmas markets in Munich?
Yes, there's lots of Christmas markets in Munich. The main Christmas market is down the pedestrian area, and that starts at the top of the pedestrian area, which is not too far from the train station. You've got a beautiful ice rink. So if you want to do a little bit of ice skating, and that's one thing about the Christmas markets in Europe, nearly all of them have ice skating rinks.
Wow.
So you can do that as well.
And any hidden gems in Munich?
Hidden gems. I think the adventurous people could go and see the Olympic Village because you can actually do zip lining over it.
Wow.
If you're a football fan, you can go and see the football because the Munich Stadium is amazing. And I went to the Science and Technology Museum, which I thought was amazing. Really, really interesting. And I do like the breweries. There's quite a lot of breweries in Munich. And when you go into them, they're just, again, they're cavernous and lovely.
And the unique flavour. So Vienna has one flavour for its Christmas market. What would you say is a unique flavour of the Munich Christmas market?
You can tell that it's more Germanic, but Bavaria has its own traditions. And one of the biggest things to me in the shops there and in the markets, there's a brand of Christmas decorations called Café Wolfhard. And Café Wolfhard, its head place is actually very close to Munich in a beautiful little town called Rothenburg Ob der Tauber.
Oh, Rothenburg. Yes, I was there.
And
yes.
Rothenburg is amazing.
It is.
And you could even do a day trip to
Yes.
Rothenburg. You can just hop on the train. You can go to Nuremberg or Rothenburg, and Nuremberg's Christmas markets are good as well. But Rothenburg is absolutely fantastic.
It is. Rothenburg.
Yes,
I remember
and
there.
Cafe
Yes.
Wolfhart. It's the largest Christmas shop in the world there. You'll see a lot of imitations these days.
Yeah.
But to bring back a Cafe Wolfhart, a Christmas decoration from
Yes.
Munich, to me, is very special.
Yes, I was in Rothenburg, as they say, with a colleague, Shauna, and we went to the shop, which is open year round.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's the most
right, yeah.
bizarre thing to enter
it's
Christmas
incredible.
in the middle of July.
It's absolutely incredible. It's brilliant.
Okay, so we've so many ideas. Aileen, you're an absolute star. Now we're coming to the queen of your selection, the number one Christmas market. A roll of the drums, please.
Oh,
Ba-bum.
absolutely. So my third Christmas market that I picked for this podcast today is Salzburg. And the reason I picked it is because it's so doable. It's just the most gorgeous city. And those of us that are maybe of an age will remember The Sound of Music. And of course, it's on every Christmas. But when you go to Salzburg and you think of Julie Andrews and you think of Captain Von Trapp, and God knows I know a few of them, you have that magic because it is what it is in that film. I think when you go around Salzburg and you enjoy that, it's wonderful. But then it's got, obviously a lot of Austrians might agree with me, Salzburg is Mozart's city. And then we've got Mozart balls, which are Mozart Kugeln, which are the chocolates of Salzburg. But I think the whole thing of it's Mozart's birthplace, I think that's really important so that you can go to the Mozart house. There's a wonderful pedestrian street in Salzburg called Getreidegasse.
Yes.
And that is the street with all the shops. Even McDonald's had to toe the line and have a very discreet McDonald's sign, which I love. I like them towing the line. And to walk up Getreidegasse and then suddenly you come to the Christmas markets. And then there's a wonderful cathedral there that was actually founded by an Irish scholar.
Wow. I think you took us there and
Yeah.
there was an exhibition. It
Yeah.
had been turned into sort of like gallery. And I can remember all of these veils.
That's right, yeah.
That was
And it's
absolutely
yeah,
stunning.
and that's when people go there, they need to check. There's also a puppet theatre in
Yes.
Salzburg that's very interesting to go to. I saw the Nutcracker there
Wow.
with puppets and music, Mozart's music and everything. So Salzburg is magical.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get there. You have to play around with Salzburg because the direct flights don't start with Ryanair until about the 17th of December. But at the moment, they're doing Saturday to Tuesday. But you can come from Munich as well. You could even do 2 Christmas markets, or you can get a fast train from Vienna. But the great thing is you can come down to Salzburg by train from Munich. And you can also get what's called the Flixibus. And the Flixibus literally costs, I think it's about €10 each way.
Wow.
So it's called the Flixibus.
Right.
It's a service around Europe. So there's lots of ways to do it sort of reasonably. And there's loads of hotels to choose from in Salzburg. I'd personally recommend the ones in the old town, but there's a lot of hotels by the train station.
Any standout hotel in the old?
Well, if you want luxury, there's a beautiful hotel in Salzburg, which is on the river, the Salzach River. And it was bought by the Sacher Hotel some years ago by the Sacher family. So you could stay in the Sacher Hotel, but there's lots of hotels in Salzburg.
And any particular restaurants you'd recommend?
Yes. 2, Tomaselli is the place you have to go to for your coffee and your cake.
We went there.
Yes.
Yes.
And we had coffee and cake, and they have this gatto called the Mozart one, which has marzipan and pistachio in it. I'm drooling now thinking about it. And I think then for dinner, there's loads of restaurants. There's a lovely restaurant round by the Salzburg, by the concert hall. And the concert hall is amazing. And that's the concert hall that was actually in The Sound of Music when they sing before they flee the Nazis. So it's actually hewn into the cliff. I think if you love music and there's something good on, it's a wonderful place to go. But right beside that is a restaurant called St. Peter's Keller. And it's not only the oldest restaurant in Austria, but it's one of the oldest in Europe. It dates back, I think, to the 14th century. And when you go into it, it's like it's cloistered. When you walk into St. Peter's Keller, you're greeted with, they have a glühwein place. So you can have your mulled wine and walk around. But then they have all these different rooms that you can have dinner in. They specialise in Christmas decorations. So each room is decorated in a different theme every year.
Wow.
So it's absolutely special. And there's lots of good food there. But there's one thing that they have in Salzburg, which is called the Salzburger Knockerl, Knockerl. It's like a frothy meringue. And underneath the meringue, there's fruit and jam.
Wow.
It's the weirdest looking thing. It's like two mountain peaks. And it's just naughty, but nice.
What would you buy in the Christmas market in Salzburg? What sort of gifts can you bring back?
I always buy a Christmas decoration every year.
Okay.
I think that's for me. I think you can go and buy the absolute original Mozart Kugeln, which I think is lovely to buy. They'll have a stand there, and the shop is beside the Christmas markets. Sometimes I see other things that catch my fancy, but I think it's just about, we said at the very beginning, the memories. Buy something that'll give you a memory. They've lovely toasty kind of hats and gloves and all that kind of stuff. But I think just bring back something that's a memory.
Yes. Well, you've given me great memories, and I'm really moved when I think back of all the wonderful trips we've done. I am
Yes.
so glad I asked you, because you've created so many opportunities and so many imperatives to go to these Christmas
Well,
markets.
it's true. And you can still do new things as well, because in Salzburg, they've a fabulous outlet store, a huge big outlet place that's right beside the airport. If you got back to the airport early or you left your luggage back early, you can go to the Red Bull Museum, which is called Hangar 7. And there's a lovely restaurant in there. And the other place I was this summer that I was brought to by Salzburg Airport is Salzburg Football Club. There's a fabulous restaurant at the football club.
Wow.
Beautiful restaurant.
Yeah.
There's new things
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And the Stiegel Brewery in Salzburg is well worth a visit, and it's a great place to eat as well.
Well, listen, you have actually given me multiple reasons to go to the Christmas. Aileen Eglinton, thank you so much for being our guest and taking us to the reality, not virtual reality, word reality of the Christmas markets. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and I hope to be at one of them this Christmas.